All right, guys. Good evening. Welcome into a very special Royal Rumble post show review edition over here on BCP Plus. Rob Williams here, back from the wonderful city of Indianapolis. I wanted to give you guys a quick recap. We just got home from traveling, but I wanted to get everything in before I forgot, guys. So please join us in the stream. Let us know what you thought of the Royal Rumble 2025, all four matches. We'll see if we can get you guys going in the stream in just a minute. Let me know if the audio and everything's good. We'll just check real quick and we'll get it going here, guys. Thank you so much for joining. All right, sounds like we're good. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining. I want to do a really quick recap of everything that went down in Indianapolis this past weekend. We got there on Friday. Both of us working very hard. I'll say this: the city of Indianapolis completely embraced the Royal Rumble. It was like the Super Bowl. It was like Mania. I wasn't at the airport, but I had heard at the airport there was signage everywhere on the screens. There was places to make your own signs. When we were walking street to street, obviously, I'm sure you guys saw the street signs, the Yeet Street, Cody Road, the Ring, General Way. There were so many. Oh man, I can't think of. I think there was like Mrs. Awesome Street, stuff like that. So really cool. I've never been in Indianapolis before. I like going to the different cities, and it was very cool. Beautiful city, ton of art. We did like a little sculpture artwork walk, which was great. And just everywhere you went, there was Royal Rumble lights or lettering or posters or signs. And it was so cool. The Indianapolis Convention Center had so much going on with, I think, Busted Open, had a couple shows over down that way. There was the Superstore, which is incredible, which always makes it feel huge. And of course, just so much stuff going on. Superstar meet and greets. The list goes on and on. But that whole convention center was just incredible. And the cool thing about Indianapolis, and I was told going into this, everything's kind of connected. Like all the buildings are connected. Like there's like bridges from building to building. So that's very cool. So wonderful city. I do hope to go back someday. But let's talk about this amazing Royal Rumble, momentarily as I share the stream out. Make sure we get you guys in the chat. We'll share it out to a couple chats right now. And guys, let me know in the chat what you guys thought of Royal Rumble 2025. All right, so we got to start with the women's Royal Rumble match. Again, Indianapolis, incredible city. And I think I'm excited to hear unofficially that they're hosting WrestleMania, maybe official. We just don't know when. But what did you guys think of the women's Royal Rumble match? Let me know in the chat. There's so many things that come to mind. Man, where do we start? We talked on the podcast. We did our yeet or no yeet. I think I have my signage over here, right? If we thought there were going to be a ton of surprises, some NXT talent. I'll take a look at the list here. Jordan Grace came in and really stole the show. Her picking up Piper Niven with that intensity and just powering her, landing on her feet with that like modified Death Valley driver and almost being overpowered and going off the ropes and kind of landing on her feet after the ropes. That was such a cool moment. I was going crazy on that. I think McAfee dropped a curse or two during that. It was just so incredible. And Piper Niven had a heck of a performance as well. Nia Jax too. I'm trying to think the moment with Jordan Grace and Naomi hugging, having that little moment similar to last year's Royal Rumble. That was really cool, but I loved Bianca kind of pulling them apart. And Bianca kind of had like, what are you doing moment? Because you don't really see Bianca like that too much. And I'm like, ooh, I kind of like this. And her ability to emote in that moment, kind of be like, no, like you're my partner. Like, what are you doing? Pulling her away like that. I thought that was really cool. But guys in the chat, let me know what you guys thought of this women's Royal Rumble match. Also, we have to talk about, of course, the return of Alexa Bliss. Perhaps the biggest pop of the night, perhaps arguably. You couldn't hear her music at one point. It was crazy. I think the back of her jacket said Fiend Forever, which was a nice little nod to the late great Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. And she didn't miss a beat coming in. It's so great to see Alexa Bliss back in the mix. And of course, man, there's so many things to talk about in the women's. What else? Stephanie Vaquer came in, made a statement, really showed up, showed out. Let me see if I can pull up some of my notes here. And of course, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, man, just coming down that aisle so slowly, taking her time, so regal. And she's earned it. She knows how great she is coming down, looking like $1,000,000. Great, wrestling fashion, great outfit coming down, and really just showing up, showing out. I don't want to say running through everybody, but really just showing her dominance and that she also has not missed a beat. So, guys, again, let me know what you thought of the women's Royal Rumble. Let's see if I have any other notes here. As far as surprises, we saw Roxanne Perez. I believe this was her third Royal Rumble. No AJ Lee. Who else did we see? We saw the return of Trish Stratus, who didn't miss a beat as well, came back, hit some Stratusfaction. The return of Nikki Bella at 30 was incredible. Chelsea Green, let's talk about Chelsea Green. And again, shameless promo, go over on bcp-plus.com or go to our BCP Plus YouTube and check out our interview with Chelsea Green. That was a lot of fun. Chelsea's dynamic, she's such, and I just saw on Twitter, their gear was wicked. I didn't realize that last night. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Her dynamic with Piper was so good last year, but this year was just as great. Chelsea is a heel, obviously, but she's so, I don't want to say over, but she's so popular with the crowd right now. Like, she is getting really, really cheered. I was at the Saturday night main event where she won the U.S. championship for the women, and they were cheering for her then. They were really behind her, and it's so cool to see. I don't want to say she's like the cool heel, but it's one of those ones where she's going to be like officially a baby face, I think, very soon. Also, shout out to Piper for the gimmick with the Secret Service. That is very, very fun. But also so cool to see Piper show up and show out. I'm sure I'm missing something on the women's. I'm trying to think. There was so much going on, but what a great opener. What a great match. Great showing by Bailey as well. I think she was selling a knee at one point. Trying to think what else really stood out. Naomi and Bianca working together was really, really fun. Seeing Lash Legend come in was awesome to see as well. But for me, the moment that really stood out, besides Jordan Grace just tearing through everybody and was incredible, was when Bianca pulled Naomi away from Jordan Grace. I thought that was really cool. But congrats to Charlotte Flair. And she said to watch this week, perhaps Raw, NXT, or SmackDown. She will show up, and we'll see which champion she challenges at WrestleMania. In the past, she has challenged for that NXT championship. We talk about Cena breaking that record, but let's not forget Charlotte is getting those titles as well. All right, let's go to the chat here, guys. Just catching up. Make sure we got you guys here. All right. Very good. All right. So let's keep things going. Let's talk about the tag team match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. It was a really good match. I was very excited for it. We knew it would be. I'm never a fan, and I said this on the predictions panel, I'm never a huge fan of the heel Johnny Gargano. I think he's just such a natural baby face. But when we talked to him, we interviewed him years ago, and he had said, and I said this on the predictions panel, he embraces when they move the goalpost on him. He embraces when they give him something, or he has a challenge himself. And you can go back and check out that interview on our BCP Plus YouTube channel with Johnny Gargano from a few years back. But I was critical of the heel turn then. I am a little now, but the way they used that match and kind of cheated to get some of those wins was actually very clever. It was very, very, very interesting. What did you guys think about the ending with the Street Profits coming in? I thought that was fascinating, for lack of a better word, fascinating. So let me know what you guys thought about that. Just recapping that, Montez and Angelo come in. They cost Motor City Machine Guns, but they also kind of lay into DIY after the match. Ultimately setting up what you would think would be a title match for the Street Profits there. That way they could add insult to injury, taking away those tag team championships. So just another way to look at it. I really enjoyed the match, but Bill Bodkin had a great point on our show, and I hate to admit it, but Bill had a very good point. He said, for us, big wrestling fans, we thought this was going to be a really, really good match of the night caliber, to see these teams really get this opportunity on this arguably one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. Royal Rumble is my personal favorite. I know it's a lot of ours. And to see DIY get that opportunity and MCMG get that opportunity, you could tell they really needed to make like a big statement here. And I think that's an opportunity for them to really connect with the fans. Bill did have a fair point. And I didn't necessarily agree with it right away, but he said, he's worried that the more casual fans might be taking a break during this match. And yes, Bill always has a good point. Jeffrey, thanks for joining the chat. Fans might not check out, but take a little bit of a break during this one, especially after that amazing roller coaster that was the Women's Royal Rumble. And from what I had heard, that was somewhat of the case. Like, there are a lot of people kind of going to the stands and checking out just for a minute for that match on the card. I hate saying like the bathroom break. I feel like that's so disrespectful, but from what I had heard, that was somewhat the case, and that's a shame because I was really, really excited for this match. And if you didn't stay and watch it, it was really, really, really good. And I love seeing the push of the tag team division on SmackDown. When I came into wrestling or as a fan, I loved the Ray and Edge team and Los Guerreros, and they had that whole feud the team angles. That time Angle, when he was doing the tag team stuff, like, I love that time. I thought that was my favorite time in tag team wrestling, believe it or not. And yes, I was late to the game, but I thought it was a really good match. Interesting ending, very clever match. All those guys can go. I'm so critical of DIY being heels, but also because their moveset has to change to adjust to that in certain ways. I feel like Gargano is just such a natural baby face. But again, it's working for them. They're killing it. Those shirts are fire. Those shirts that they came out with for DIY are awesome. And I thought it was a really good match. We expected it to be. I did expect DIY to retain. I did not expect anything from Street Profits. So let me know in the chat what you guys thought about the Street Profits involvement and all of that. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Cody Rhodes versus KO in the ladder match. Guys, let me know what you thought about that one. It was, oh man, it was hard hitting. It was very hard hitting. Seeing the back of Cody Rhodes go into that chair that was kind of like, I'm making a gesture with my hands with like the ladder open but sideways on the ground. That was very vicious. A couple times these guys' heads hit the ladder. The ending, obviously, where KO kind of got folded over. It was just kind of like just sitting there. That was crazy. That was crazy. Jeffrey in the chat saying heel profits LFG. Yeah. I know we had said in the predictions panel that we wanted to see Bianca heel, perhaps Montez as well. Heather in the chat, welcome in. So good to see you. Welcome, saying that was a crazy match. Yeah, it was insane. It was insane, and you knew it would be hard hitting. Cody always has great ladder matches, as you know. Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, always known for really great ladder matches, and you could tell they just went out there and they crushed it. They crushed it, and they tore the house down and each other. The involvement with Sammy gave it like a very interesting dynamic as well. What do you guys think is going to happen with Sammy going forward? For me, I think he's going to be a future world heavyweight champion. Really, I always say the unsung MVP of this long-term storytelling era. Very heavily involved in that, and he's kind of a key background player in a lot of the stories. The bloodline stuff with Seth, stuff with KO, now Cody. It's very interesting dynamic. And he was also in the Rumble match. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Big time spot fest. Big hard hitting action on those ladders, the loose rung. Again, them hitting their heads. I mean, there were a couple spots I was like, "Oh, like, I hope they're all right." It was pretty vicious. And at the end, obviously, we see Cody climbing to the top, holding up both titles, proving that he is indeed the undisputed WWE champion. Real quick to the chat. Bianca, no. So Jeffrey, this is interesting. So you're saying Bianca's already a heel. Who do you think took Jade Cargill? Bianca is just faking the babyface currently. That's interesting. I think the who shot Mr. Burns of it all is a lot of fun. They haven't really addressed it in a while. But again, I loved Bianca pulling Naomi back, excuse me, off of Jordan Grace when her formerly Trinity, Naomi and Jordan Grace embracing, and then Bianca pulled her back. That was one of my favorite parts of the Women's Rumble because we saw that edginess from Bianca, kind of Bianca being annoyed. And I also talked in the past, I always go back to this like a month or two ago, Naomi walking down the hall with kind of that fake smile after she was a little annoyed, I think after losing to Bailey or whatever it was. So there's definitely little seeds being planted. Nothing about Jade Cargill though. That's interesting. I liked seeing, because again, we said it on the show, like Bianca is so like perfect and good and one of the best women's wrestlers like in the world, one of the best wrestlers in the world. We talked about that match on NXT on Tuesday, that main event, that tag match was so awesome. Got a lot of time, and Bianca wasn't even breathing heavy. Like they were all, they were all getting gassed from that amazing match, all these crazy spots, and she's just like not even gasping for air. She's just like an amazing athlete, and it's incredible to see. But I want to see, she could be one of the top in the PWI every single year. She's been number one, but I think we want to see, I don't even want to say we want to see something different. We want to see more in a different way, so to speak. So it's interesting. I want to see something else from Bianca, and she doesn't need to tune anything up or necessarily get better at anything. I think I just want to see something different and something like maybe an organic kind of heel turn, nothing forced. Real quick, Chucky, Daddy Daughter Entertainment. Chucky, good to see you. I'm glad you enjoyed the Rumble. Definitely was hoping for AJ Lee return over Nikki Bella. Great to see Nikki Bella back. She's definitely been through a lot past couple months. But yeah, we did talk about it on the show, Chucky. We did say AJ Lee. We did our yeet or no yeet if they were coming back. And I said yeet for AJ Lee. But no AJ Lee. That would have been really, really cool to see her skip into the ring. That would have been very, very cool. Jeffrey in the chat, it's pure speculation on my part, but you heard it from me first. If that's true, fair enough, Jeffrey. And I will give credit where credit is due. Guys, thanks for joining in. Share the stream. We're talking about KO, Cody Rhodes, the ladder match. What did you guys think of that? What you think about the Rumbles? Really anything you guys want in the chat. We're about to get to the men's. John Blaine, Around the Ropes podcast. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. What did you think of the Rumble, bro? All right, guys. So KO, Cody. Cody wins. We talked about the Sami Zayn of it all, which is very, very interesting. Where do we go from here? KO really just kind of folded over at the end. That final, what was it? It was an Alabama Slam, I think it was, through the ladder at the end, and kind of folded up and just stayed there. So really just crazy bumps, crazy spots. And I apologize for the I don't want to say insider for the terminology, because I am not a wrestler. Real quick in the chat, there it is. I was waiting for the yeets, everybody. Loved that Jey Uso won the men's Royal Rumble. Yeah, I think it's a smart choice on the show. And let me, guys, what did you think? Be honest. What did you guys think? Because I heard there was like mixed reaction. Definitely not in the arena, because Indianapolis, they're, again, like I've said this for the past couple months, like the number one shirt I've been seeing at these events. We covered Hershey. I think we were in Philly not too long ago. The number one shirt I see is usually Yeet or Jey Uso in some form or fashion. Two, usually Rhea, Cody, but undoubtedly the Yeet shirt's number one. So from a dollar sign perspective, it makes so much sense. That guy's moving. That guy's moving a lot of merch, and very well deserved. Fan of the Usos, obviously, but to see him break out on his own and have this moment, I thought it was good booking, better business. And I had picked Cena to win. Everyone else on my panel, the four other panelists, Amanda, Calvin, Bill, and the Annie Smart Matt all picked CM Punk, I believe. I could be wrong, but they all picked CM Punk. I picked Cena. So I was very surprised to see Jay Uso win that thing, but I was very happy to see him. Real quick. Chucky Ireland saying that Alabama slam was vicious. I love it. See what I did there? Yeah, I was not alone in Indianapolis. I'll put it that way. She was very proud of her. She was putting in work. Big weekend for her as well. So very proud of the vicious one. She's killing it. All right, let's go to the chats, and thank you for that, Chucky. John Blaine said we did a live watch along. I thought KO was Cody's toughest fight for the belt. Yeah, I think that's in terms of physicality. Yeah, perhaps. I really like the match with him and Gunther though, but that was like a straight up old school wrestling match, which typically isn't my favorite to be honest, but that was really, really cool. Jeffrey in the chat saying yeet. I think we're gonna get a lot of these. And Heather in the chat, let's get to you real quick. I love the chat. Keep it going, guys. Share the stream. LA Knight, yeah, is doing really well too. Yeah, awesome to see him on the rise. He's been working for years and years and years. All right, let's see what we got here. Chucky in the chat, Daddy Daughter Entertainment. Yeah, I had Roxanne. Ooh, so Roxanne and Punk winning. Yeah, so they all picked Punk. I think Roxanne's an interesting pick. Third Royal Rumble appearance. They're very high on her, as they should be. I think it was like during like the lockdown, I was seeing her blowing up on the independents at an early age, reality of wrestling Texas area. I believe, I think she had the match with Deanna around that time or shortly afterwards. So you knew she was going to be a big star, but ahead of her years. And they see that. I, I could see her winning a Rumble in the near future. I really could. Very, very high on Roxanne Perez. I think that's great. All right, guys. Well, let's get into it. And if I miss anything, guys, I'm going off the cuff here. Long travel day today. So I'm probably a sleepyhead, but I'm back home with the doggy. So very happy about that. Let's talk about the men's Royal Rumble match. I had this whole list. We did yeet or no yeet on the show. And I had a whole list of surprises. Not a ton of surprises. And what did you guys think about that? Should we have seen more legends? Should we have seen more NXT? Should we continue to highlight the roster that we have every year? I'll talk about like Tozawa. I talked about this on the show when we interviewed him at the last Royal Rumble last year. We got to do media day and we interviewed Tozawa, and he had said one of his dreams was to be in a Royal Rumble, and he came out, and I'm like, finally, he gets to be in a Royal Rumble. And then, of course, he gets clocked, clothesline, which again was like, why did the clothesline like take him out? But whatever, because I love Tozawa and I was really happy for him. Then we got to do the little dance with him last year. But and then I Show Speed gets the tap on the shoulder, which I didn't realize who it was at first. I'm like, is this an indie talent or something going on here? And I did like the impromptu-ness of it. I thought it was an indie guy or an LFG guy or something. I'm like, oh, I like this because like what a cool way to like introduce like a rookie or something, or maybe an extra there, or an indie talent with this whole new ID thing, which I love the embracing of the independents. I could go on and on about that, and we definitely will one day. But for him to come in, he's like, wait, what? Trip, you want me to go in? And him coming in, and then that spear by Braun Breaker. There's so many like videos of that, was absolutely insane. But that was a cool way to, again, I thought it was like an indie guy at first. I'm like, oh, I remember it's I Show Speed. But that was really, really cool. Let me catch up in the chat before I keep going on. Heather in the chat, how'd you feel about Charlotte winning? Kind of disappointed. Love her as a wrestler, but kind of wish someone else won. Yeah, it's one of those. I think that's a fair assessment. We all picked Charlotte on the panel, and you guys can go back and watch the panel over on bcp-plus.com, or just search for BCP Plus over on YouTube. Shameless promo. Check out our interviews with Johnny Gargano, Nia Jax, Kofi Kingston, and Akira Tozawa, a ton more. So shameless promo. We all picked Charlotte Flair to win. It was kind of like, maybe a Becky could come back and win it, but you look at it and you think the match is going to be Tiffy versus Charlotte. And I still feel that way. I think a lot of us feel that way. So it was kind of the one where you're like, it's expected. She's one of the best one of the best wrestlers, period, on the planet. Untouchable, on Busted Open, they always say like she is the ceiling. Like, what do you do with her? If you're the very best, who do you face? So I think, and she came back and didn't miss a beat, like I said earlier. I think, um, I don't want to say disappointed is the word. She deserves it. It's awesome. She's a little bit emotional at the press conference, which was very, very cool to see. But like, I think it's one of those things where fans wanted maybe, I don't want to say something different because she's been gone for a long time, but not to get the expected result. And I think because everyone expected it, um, and she is, I would say she is a heel based on those promos. Definitely not based on the press conference. Maybe some of the things she said based on the promos, but also based on like her mannerism and stuff in the ring. Again, very regal, walking down, taking her time into the Rumble. I thought that was cool. I think she deserves it. I like it. I'm happy for Charlotte, but I can understand why some people um, might not like it. Again, I think she is a heel. Also, it's almost like that expected result, like where it's like, you're too good, and like you're always going to win, and we want to see someone else. But I think that match, if it happens with her and Tiffy, is going to be really good. Um, Jeffrey T. USDM podcast Roxanne is a Booker T product. Yeah, I believe Reality of Wrestling. Yep, very good. Let's see what you got, Heather. More legends would have been nice, which Dominic would have been number 3 after we were texting, we were saying, Dominic number 3. Yeah, how cool was Ray and Penta start things? We'll get into that in just a minute. And thank you for bringing that up. I didn't want to forget that was my favorite. Yeah, the spear from Braun on Speed, crazy. If you see some of the fan footage of it too, it's even crazier. So check that out. I need a haircut desperately. I'm poofing up right here, but I still have my hair, so I guess that's a good thing. Speed in the Rumble. What else we got in the chat here? Becky would have been nice. Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, and thank you guys. Keep the questions coming. Let me know what you thought. Let's talk about the men's Rumble. And let me see what you put, Chucky, really, really quick. Jordan Grace. Yeah, I talked about that to open up. That was, to me, might have been the spot of the night. Just how it was like that Death Valley modified driver, but she didn't land on her feet, but kind of bounced off the ropes. It was so much momentum, and then came back on her feet, and she was hyped. It got me hyped. I think Pat McAfee cursed. Like it was crazy. But that was really, really cool. I love that. And Jordan Grace is amazing. It's so good to see her in this position. So congrats to Jordan Grace. All right. So we start the men's Rumble with my all-time favorite, Rey Mysterio, number 1. He's going to go all the way. I think he went all the way from number 2 when he won it. But then you have Penta come up, and the show of respect, obviously, but then they go right to it, man. And it was so fun to see. I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, his feet hit, his feet hit, both of them. But it's kind of that, especially in wrestling, guys, like it's that suspension of disbelief. Just to have that moment, it was like, you know what I mean? It's like too good to be true. Like, I don't want to poo-poo it, because it was just so good. And to have that moment, I hope to see more between them, the show respect, and then them just going. Ray, again, Penta's amazing, and it's so good to see him. And there's not a knock on another product, but coming over from AEW to WWE and having such star power already. We were in the Superstore, and there's like Penta merch everywhere, Penta masks. Like I think he's had 2 matches, 3 if you count the Royal Rumble in WWE, and just to see his star rise and the way he's being marketed with the machine is just incredible and very, very well deserved. Penta was always one of my favorites in AEW, him and Ray Phoenix. So I can't wait till Phoenix eventually gets to WWE. Hopefully, I'll leave it at that. But to have that showdown between the two of them to start things out, what a way to start the Rumble. Really, really good. Oh, Chucky, I think you're a Penta fan. I see what you put. Oh, and you're saying I've been watching Penta since Lucha Underground. Wow. Oh, excuse me. All right. Very good. But everyone's saying, they hope Dom, excuse me for 1 second. Dom came in at number 3. Yeah, I was hoping that too. So we kind of had that like lucha high flying, which I love, is my favorite type of wrestling. And then Chad Gable coming in, I thought was interesting. What else for the men's Rumble? I don't want to skip around too much. Let me take a look at my Yeet or No Yeet who came in. We were hoping maybe to see Aleister Black in some form or fashion. Not yet. Who else did we see? No one. I would have loved to see Oba Femi from NXT. Usually you do see the NXT champion come in. He's got a pretty heavy storyline. I would have loved to seen Trick come in, just because Trick's amazing, but also the entrance with the 60,000, 65,000, 70, whatever it was, which is nothing to turn your nose at. I think third largest gate they were saying. But to see Trick's entrance at the Rumble would have been really, really cool. Maybe that they thought that might take away from like the Yeet entrance because that's usually the big entrance. I actually had Jay for number one because I know it's such a big long entrance. All right, keep guys in the chat. Let me know what you thought about the men's Rumble. Any thoughts? What about our most recent interviewee over on BCP Plus shameless promo? I know it's a giant commercial at this point, but check out our interviews with the superstars. You know, we worked our way up to get there. TNA World Champion Joe Hendry joined us on bcp-plus.com. Check us out at the YouTube BCP Plus channel. Got about 20 minutes with Joe Hendry. Got to talk to him about winning that title. And of course, they said his name. Someone said it at the Rumble, and he appeared. What did you guys think about Joe Hendry appearing in the Royal Rumble, which is so cool? You love to see it. I think they were saying at WrestleCon that he was saying like he had to catch a flight for the Jericho cruise at like noon. So it was like really, and I don't think anyone was buying it, you know, but he had to kind of cut out. And I think this is just what I had heard. Of course, he shows up in the Royal Rumble, which is very, very cool. But for Joe Hendry, Royal Rumble, not his Battle Royals, Royal Rumble, not his strongest suits. He usually gets thrown out very quickly, like he did in NXT. So, but he's still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Check out our interview with him. He was great and very well deserved. In the chat, Chucky's saying we were hoping for Alistair. Chloe checking in saying the news that he was still under AEW contract, but was written off of TV. Yeah, there was a weird like his match with Adam Cole was like very goodbye-y and very respect-y and like long drawn out pauses afterwards. And then everyone's like, oh, he's totally leaving. And then he had like one or two matches after that. He's like, no, I'm not leaving. So I don't know if it was a misdirect on a misdirect or it was too obvious or something, but I'm hearing April, I'm hearing that might be the contract. So we'll see. Chucky also saying, we believe in Joe Hendry. All right, let's see what we got. Heather in the chat saying the Rumble slowed up a little after the first couple, especially when Speed came in. Yeah, it usually does. I was hoping for another like a comedy spot. Where was Truth? Where was our Truth last year with the tag in? He got the hot tag in the Royal Rumble. We've seen him in the ladder. Where was Truth? Where was our Truth? I really was hoping to see the Hardys in some form or fashion. I thought it'd be cool to see them one by one come in the Rumble because they had that massive WrestleMania return, which will probably never be topped. Also, Matt Cardona, man, I really he had that big interview with Ariel Helwani, shameless promo. He wants to be back. He wants to work with his wife, you know, be on the road with his wife, man. And I think it's time. And I'm working on something now, but he's really left the independents better than he's found it. Not to say he's left, but I really thought we were going to see Cardona. He was right there at WrestleCon as well. I think he sold out of 8x10s. It makes perfect sense for whatever reason. And I thought that the time was now, no pun intended. I thought we were going to see Cardona and no Cardona. So that was interesting. What else we got? Wish we would have had, he had been in a little longer. Yeah. Joe Hendry. Yeah. Again, very, very, very quick elimination for Joe Hendry. But I guess battle royals aren't his thing, but he's a world champion. So what do I know? You know, and again, check out our interview with him. Check out Calvin's interview over on the site with the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. It's one of my favorite interviews so far. So check it out. Shameless promo aside, let's talk about what we had. Roman Reigns come in. We had CM Punk come in. John Cena come in, I think around 23. And what interaction between all of them, particularly this was what I was waiting for, the interaction between Seth Rollins and the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. They really kind of had a moment like to kind of almost vent, to kind of get at each other, to kind of shove each other a little bit and then turn into a straight up fight. But really cool moment. I know a lot of people now are saying Punk, Roman, and Seth at Mania, which is interesting. It's so funny in this past week how everything's changed because everyone was saying Punk Cody, this and that. I like that they're not necessarily swerving us, but giving us possibilities. We go this way, we go this way. I didn't have Punk to win the Rumble. Everyone else on my panel did. I just feel, and we did talk about it, that I'm trying to say this respectfully. Like, I feel like Punk may have he's slowing down a bit. He's slowing down a bit, and we said that a little bit. I think someone on the panel had said they felt as if Seth had carried him a lot on that Netflix show. And again, no disrespect. It happens to every athlete. And again, all the matches have been very, very good. You just kind of notice that like it's a little tougher, you know, a little bit injury prone in the past. And again, I couldn't do any of that stuff. I'm not trying to knock anyone. We've been super critical of Punk, and I want to be fair. Ever since he came back to the WWE, I think he's living his best life and really giving back to the business. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, but I don't see him in the main event at this point in time. But maybe that triple threat match will happen in some form or fashion. Doesn't look like Rock Roman is ever happening, because that would be the fourth year in a row it doesn't happen. Let's catch up in the chat. What do we got here, Heather? What did you think about the triple knockout when Roman got eliminated? That was interesting. Of course, I wish the OTC was in a little longer too. Some people at the Rumble party had Logan Paul to win. Wow, I didn't have Logan Paul to win, but Final Four for sure. Final Four for sure. Big time heel. He can't even talk on the microphone. He's getting that Dominic treatment where it's just a chorus of boos. A chorus of boos. Chucky, I want to see what you have to say. Seth versus Roman, WrestleMania. Punk will call him the favor. Him that turns into triple threat. Yeah, that's the favor. What's the favor? I think you're right. Is it wrong that I prefer Seth versus Roman 1v1? Interesting. What are the stakes? Is there going to be a title involved in that? Maybe there doesn't need to be. That's interesting. But yeah, the favor is going to come into play. Monday Night Raw. And that's how I want to put this out tonight. Monday Night Raw tomorrow night should be very, very interesting. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, and Heather in the chat saying, not sure where CM Punk is going from here. Yeah, I'm not sure either. Be very interesting. He got injured in the Rumble last time, so he's ready to go. And then we had John Cena in the press conference, the runner-up in the Rumble, pretty much saying, hey, I'm going to be in the Elimination Chamber, which kind of confirms the Elimination Chamber is a number one contendership again. I know in the past it was for the title, and the champion would have to defend against 5 other people. I think there was one for the U.S. title. Now it seems like, maybe there's like one women's elimination chamber that's for the title. And then it's recently been like a men's elimination chamber, which is for the number one contendership for the other title that's not been selected for the Royal Rumble winner, if that makes sense. But Cena said, hey, I'm in it. So I'm assuming it's for the number one contender. Do we think Cena goes on to WrestleMania, the main event, to take on Cody? Because it looks like Jay's taking on Gunther. Maybe not. Where do you guys think we go? Heather, I like what you're saying here. I said this as well. We thought Rock was coming out at 31. I thought 30 or 31. He can make the rules. Yeah, I like that, Heather. I did think that as well. A couple weeks ago, I had The Rock to win the Royal Rumble, actually. I ended up picking Cena. So close. Magic Mike Ferreira, welcome in, bro. So good to see you in the chat. I love the Royal Rumble. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really, really fun. It was really, really good. About 4.5 hour pay-per-view. 4 matches, but really, really fun. I also want to talk about Braun Breaker showing out. It's great. That Frankensteiner is insane. That Spear on Ice Show speed, insane. And then Jacob Fatu, man. I mean, what can you say? Joe Henry was our breakout star, most improved, whatever you want to say, of the year for our BCP Plus awards. But Jacob Fatu, who's only had 2 or 3 matches, is another one of our breakout stars. He's incredible. We've seen him here on the Indies for some time now. MLW, the Premier Streaming Network, we saw him on the Wrestling Showcase. Had a little cameo on BCP. I'll find that clip. But amazing. The work he's doing, great. What do we do with the bloodline? It's going to keep going, but there's no Rock now. What is the story in terms of just the bloodline? Solo wasn't even in the Rumble, kind of disappeared. But Fatu really taking the spotlight. So I think it's going to revolve around him, but it looks like Roman may have his hands full with Seth and possibly Punk. Magic Mike Ferreira saying Cody versus Cena at Mania. That could be a possibility depending on the Elimination Chamber. Also, we're seeing a little bit of heelish, as we've talked about many times. You eventually see yourself become the villain in Cody. When does that happen? If it happens. Yeah, Chucky said it perfectly. Really behind the Penta and Fatu push. Yeah, me too. Lenny, thanks for chiming in over on our YouTube channel, BCP Plus. Shameless promo. Guys, go over there on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go over to our YouTube channel real quick. BCP and then the plus sign. Hit subscribe. Helps us out a lot. And thank you, Lenny, for joining in. Let us know what you thought of the men's Rumble or the whole Royal Rumble event. But obviously, Drew coming in, doing his thing. You can make a case for Drew winning the thing. You can make a case for a lot of the guys. This was a stacked Rumble. I would have liked to see, and again, I hate to be that guy. Like, I want to see more surprises, but I think we all do. But at the same time, it can't all be surprises. It can't be all legends. Like, you want to feature your guys in your roster. And I felt like that was the mindset. But Joe Henry was undeniable. You had to do that. Um, Real quick in the chat, Heather saying that's what I'm interested too. Rob, seeing where it goes with the bloodline. Yeah, what is the story with the bloodline now? I want to see what's next. We'll definitely see, I feel, on SmackDown. Because we had a bunch of weeks with no Solo. Obviously, Tangaloa, I think, is hurt. And I don't want to have a bunch of weeks without Roman, which I think might happen. So great to see Fatu in the spotlight, but it's kind of like they lost the war games, and it's like, okay, like the bloodline civil war, like I call it's kind of over. And then you had Roman on Netflix defeat Solo, so he got the Ulafala and is now officially the tribal chief again. Where do we go from here? I thought The Rock would interject, but again, we saw The Rock put the Ulafala on Roman. Rock, again, I talk about this on the podcast all the time. A convenient characters who are kind of like, oh, I'm friends with this guy now, and I'm helping here, and I'm being a good guy. Watch those convenient characters, man, because something always turns, something always happens. So I'm just gonna put it that way. Mike in the chat saying, I wanted more surprises. Yeah, I did too, selfishly. But again, I think they're highlighting their current roster. I can't be mad at that. But would have been cool to see the Hardys. It would have been great to see Cardona, Aleister Black, things of that nature. But maybe down the line. Yeah, Heather, I had Solo at 30. I thought he was coming out. Did not know Solo Sikoa. With Jacob, so Chucky in the chat saying, with Jacob Fatu kind of taking the lead, does that open the door now for a possible Zilla signing? Yeah, Zilla Fatu, he's the truth, man. I saw him at GCW, really good, really good. He had like a jumping Superman punch Samoan spike, which is amazing. But he's really good. I think at that point in time he was like 42 matches in or something like that, and he's really good. Really good. He's gonna be there. It's just a matter of when. I think you're right though. Mike Ferrer in the chat. What do you got for us? Women's Rumble at Surprise with Trish and Nikki. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning. No Lita, no Brie, but great to see Nikki return. She's had a tough year for sure, and great to see Trish, who did not miss a beat, hitting Stratisfaction and really showing out. Yeah, a lot of fun. What else? Braun throwing out Fatu. That was significant. And then we get down to what our final four: Punk, Cena, Paul, Jay. Punk, I believe, because I believe, or I could be wrong on this. I think Punk went out, which was a surprise to a lot of people who had picked Punk. And then Logan Paul goes out next. Paul's going to be a big time heel. He is already, but just the booze coming in every time he talks. And then I really thought Cena had it. They had me fooled. And the way that they kind of had the exchange on the apron, and then Jay goes back in, knocks out Cena. Cena kind of just falls on the ground, lands on his feet. This way he doesn't go over the top and like take like the apron bump, or to the spill to the outside. He kind of just boop lands on his feet. I think that kind of protects him a little bit too. We got to protect him at all costs. This is his last year, and it just kind of look of shock, like, oh, my feet are on the ground. And then Jay winning. What a moment! I think it makes a lot. I did not pick Jay, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Let me know what you guys thought about Jay winning. Real quick in the chat, Heather saying, Zilla definitely coming up. He's been a lot of shows hyping the crowd. Yeah, he's got it. Vince the Voice, Middletown Home Depot. WWE has always put people who have the best crowd support on top after last night. How did we not see this Jay finish coming? Yeah, it's right. I just didn't think it was going to be. You're so right, Vince. You're so right. It's one of those things, man. If it makes dollars, it makes sense, which I don't always agree with, but as the saying goes, and we're getting yeets in the chat. I knew it was coming, but I mean, you think about it. I said this earlier in the show. The number one merch seller in Indianapolis, the number one shirt I saw was Yeet and Hershey. Yeet. A lot of Rhea's too. Cody's up there too. Cena's getting up there again. Roman, Bloodline, all that stuff. But Yeet, it's all about the Yeet. I had a friend and his kids were kind of watching. They're slowly getting into it, and they're getting into. One of my brothers. The kids are getting into it, and they all have the Yeets. They're all wearing the Yeet stuff. So for them to watch it, and for Jay to win, that's more exciting for them. You know what I mean? And I got to look at it from that standpoint too. We all love it. I look at it from the family standpoint and the kids standpoint. And for Jay Uso himself, who was this great tag team wrestler, historic tag team wrestler, and for them to break apart, I knew he would be able to do some stuff. I didn't no disrespect, I didn't see it turning into something like this or going this far. And he has become arguably the top guy. I think we're seeing it in real time in the WWE, and they have so many stars. Good problem to have. Again, number one merch seller. Um, Man, it makes all the sense in the world to push this guy and have him win. I didn't see it coming, like you said, Vince, but man, it just makes so much sense, so much sense. So I think some people weren't happy with him winning, or maybe they're mad they got it wrong, whatever it was. I was glad I picked Cena again. I was glad and very surprised, pleasantly surprised to see Jay Uso win, and watching him speak in the press conference, you could tell like he knows he has the ball, he knows he has to step up, and we're going to see him do it in real time, and I think it's very well deserved, and I think it's just really good business move. Um, Heather in the chat, you're right. But I still didn't expect it. Yee, I'm so happy for him though. And the moment with his son, yes, son coming in, future bloodline. Kelvin, we acknowledge you in the chat. Kelvin, Kate Lee, No Gimmicks Podcast, BCP Plus, senior editor. Great interview with the Hardys. We acknowledge you. Kelvin, man. Yeah, Kelvin, what did you think about Jay winning? Yeah, well, let's see. He's got it right here. Not the finish anyone predicted. That's why it's good. Exactly. We didn't see it come. Like we talked about it earlier in the show. Like Charlotte, some people weren't thrilled with it because you kind of saw it coming, and it was like, oh, okay. And again, no disrespect, it's great. I think it's the right call for Charlotte to win. Very well deserved. She's unstoppable. But to see someone on the come up, someone that we didn't pick, and we should have, looking back, like we should have picked Jay. Calvin, why did none of us pick Jay? It makes so much sense just from a business standpoint. We talk about the merch sales all the time, Calvin. How do we miss this one? But I like it. There's just so many directions you can go. There's so many ingredients. There's so many paths, and so many little stories within these long-term stories. I'm really enjoying the product right now. I think Monday Night Raw tomorrow is going to be awesome, and just congratulations to the Yeet Master, we'll call him, Jay Uso. Very, very well deserved. And thank you, Indianapolis, for hosting an amazing Rumble event. Amazing city. I hope to go back there. Amazing fans, just a lot of kids, a lot of families, 70,000. I was over at WrestleCon for a little bit. That was amazing. Just the whole town canvassed in WWE stuff, Yeet Street, Cody Road, all that stuff is incredible. So I hope that WrestleMania is officially in Indianapolis one year. I'll definitely do my best to be a part of that in some form or fashion, and cover it for you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the Rumble. Thank you for staying up, joining the chat. Let us know what you thought. Go over to our YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook right now, especially go over to youtube.com. I know you all have YouTube. BCP Plus, the plus sign. Check out our interviews with TNA World Champion Joe Henry, Kelvin's interviews with the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. We just had Isaiah Wolf on, independent wrestler. Go back to the archives, check our interview with Johnny Gargano from a few years ago, former WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax from last year's Rumble, Akira Tozawa, Otis, Maxine Dupree, and a whole lot more. Guys, thank you so much for staying up. Please subscribe, leave a review over on, is it still iTunes, Apple Podcasts? That helps us out a lot, guys. And like we always say here on the BCP, everyone stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other.